Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Just a quick aside, a lot of people are waiting for that Steph Curry MRI. My point to you is Steph Curry's not 100%. If you've been on the fence on whether to put at least some futures action on the San Antonio Spurs to win it all in the NBA, now's your opportunity, right? If Steph comes back and looks like he is, great player, then great. At that point you could hedge the play with Golden State. But if Curry looks like he did before he got hurt in the last game, where he's struggling, he's not himself, he's out of sync, then I think you need some money on the Spurs. Well, let's make gambling easy in terms of boxing. We all have a list. I'm no different than anybody else. We all have a list of fighters who are living by their punch, right? Guys who aren't there to win a decision. Their entire game plan is to win by KO. Then, of course, the fighter is fighting in some place like, let's say, Germany. Let's say he's on the road, where, you realize, hey, if he's fighting the local fighter, then his chances of winning a decision have dropped even further, right? Well, what I want people to do is to look at Randall Bailey. He's one of the guys on my list. I know he's 41, but hey, power's the last to go, isn't it? Right? The legs go first, right? Power's the last to go. Let's face it, Randall Bailey is not in the ring to use his legs anyway. Right? He calls himself the Knockout King. He knows who he is. His corner knows who he is. They understand. They're going to Australia to fight the Hornet, Jeff Horn, who's unbeaten. Bailey's not kidding himself into believing that he's going to win on the scorecards. Come on, let's get serious. Right? If we're talking about gambling, let's be adult. Right? Bailey's going there for a KO, isn't he? Believe it or not, you're getting better than 2-to-1 odds on Randall Bailey simply to win the fight. Think about that. Simply to win, you're getting better than 2-to-1 odds. Jeff Horn, I know, is getting a lot of press in Australia. Okay, fair enough. I know his fights are high action. I know he throws punches with both hands. Right? I know he's a hunter. Right? He's the guy pushing the action against the other fighter. Jeff Horn's been fighting professionally for 3 years, folks. Let's just say hunters do poorly, and I mean do poorly, against Randall Bailey. Right? If you're fighting Randall Bailey, you want to be defensive. You want to be outside. You want to stay away from that right hand. You don't want to get hit with it. Big-time prospects like Mike Jones found out the hard way that Bailey could catch you at any time in a fight, and when he lands, the world changes. So, take a look at Horn's last 2 fights. You're going to notice they went the distance, didn't they? Right? The bet I'm recommending here is to take the underdog. Right? 41-year-olds with big punches are, guess what? Guys with big punches. Let me point out, too, in terms of mental toughness. You want to know how tough Randall Bailey is? I know the fight's in Australia. Would it surprise you to know that Bailey has already fought in Belgium? That Bailey's last fight was in South Korea? If he were a musician, we'd be calling this a world tour. Right? Bailey, as I said before, understand the mindset of punchers. Right? Bailey's not trying to convince anybody in the room that he's competitive. He's simply trying to get the knockout. If the ref counts to 10 after his opponent hits the floor, whether everyone in the stands is stunned or not, Bailey is leaving with the W. Right? Understand, too, we saw this with David Lemieux and his corner people. Jeff Horn's corner is so accustomed to seeing Jeff Horn dominate that I'm sure these guys are thinking in terms of a bright future, a lot of wins, a lot of paydays. right? These guys are thinking of, things down the road. So if their fighter gets in a car crash against some lethal opponent who they know has punching power, some guy like Randall Bailey, you'll be surprised how if Jeff Horn starts getting tagged and starts looking bad, right? You'll be surprised how fast the corner throws in the towel. Right? Keep in mind too, corner doesn't have to throw in the towel. If a young guy gets knocked off his feet and he's on the canvas and he looks at his corner, the corner might just go, stay down. Not your night. We'll bounce back from this. Right? So, Jeff Horn might well win by decision. I'll take my chances. The hedge I'm recommending is Randall Bailey to win the fight. Why? Because you're getting greater than 2-to-1 odds. If you want higher odds, just take Bailey by KO. Because trust me, Bailey will be the most shocked man in the building if he wins a decision. Right? It's to take the underdog to win. Hedged with Jeff Horn by decision. Folks, his last 2 fights have gone to a decision. The pattern with young guys is they get a lot of knockouts, then they start fighting better competition, then those knockouts start to disappear. That's just how it is, right? And if your punching power is going to disappear in a fight, it's going to be in a fight where the guy you're fighting has a huge punch. So you understand, hey, this pocket I like to linger in. I like to, throw high volume in. I like to back up the other guy from. This fight, I'm not going to stay in the pocket that long, right? If the other guy has, big-time weaponry, if you understand you could end up on the canvas, you're going to, just visit the pocket briefly, not live in the pocket, right? So I'm not expecting Jeff Horn, even though the fight is in front of his crowd, I'm not expecting Jeff Horn to do more than simply win rounds. Right? Because if you see him deep in the trenches trying to trade with Randall Bailey, he's going to be in trouble, folks. The kind of guys who survive against Randall Bailey are guys like Devin Alexander. Real slick southpaw types who know how to move in the ring and, stick and move and stuff like that. Jeff Horn, by contrast, looks like he doesn't think you could hit him back. Right? Look at his videos. You'll notice Jeff Horn at times is looking at his opponent. His chin is over his feet. In other words, his chin's exposed. And his hands are about where my hands are right now. Right? Hasn't crossed his mind that the punishment he's doling out might not be as great as the punishment that's about to be doled out on him. Right? The guys who can deliver punishment are these KG veteran types like Randall Bailey. Look around at the guys still fighting in their 40s. Right? Understand, it's just simple survival. They've been successful enough to make it to this stage of their careers. Right? Understand too, this is not a step up in class for Randall Bailey. Right? Randall Bailey has fought guys like Juan Urango. By the way, Juan Urango, the last guy to stop Randall Bailey. Bailey lost to Devin Alexander, lost on his feet. My point to you, though, is Randall Bailey has not been knocked out since 2009. Right? So he's a live dog here. The bet I'm recommending is Bailey simply to win, hedged with the favorite Jeff Horn by decision. I don't think Jeff Horn is going to want to push the action too much against a big hitter like this. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. Let me say this, though. Understand the risk involved, and it's substantial. What I'm saying here is that Jeff Horn is not going to get a stoppage of a 41-year-old before an Australian crowd. Right? I'm saying the home country fighter. is not going to knock out the senior citizen. Right? And of course, Jeff Horn does have a greater than 50% KO ratio. So understand the risk involved. If Horn wins by KO, you lose it all. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. Thanks for stopping by.